Hey Globalites, welcome to Downday Sunday, a weekly video series where I tell you about a recent story, answer your questions, and raffle off a postcard. And if you've been trying to get on live, I apologize because I think there were some technical difficulties and my app froze or something. Something happened and hopefully it won't happen again. But we have a exciting day. I have an exciting day ahead of me, but I'll talk to you a little bit about that later. If you are joining us in the chat, go ahead and leave a comment about where you're from and who you are, because I cannot see who anybody is who's joining us. So, and I saw that there were a few people who came in the last live stream. So I apologize, Vincol, if you're watching, and Luke, if you're watching. We got messed up. So go ahead and use the chat to tell me something. Chat here. And that'll help me know who I'm talking to. Also, today what we're gonna do, I have a few options actually. So if you're joining us live, you can decide what we talk about. Last week's live stream got messed up. It was just like connectivity issues, which I'm hoping we're not going to have again today. If we do have connectivity issues, please leave in the chat that you are not seeing it. We're either going to do a redo of the topic of loss and theft while you travel, or we can talk about what it's like to come home after traveling for a while, like what things you need to do to kind of get yourself readjusted, because I'm kind of dealing with that right now, because spoiler alert, I'm home. Yeah, so the vlogs, again, if you don't already know, there's a backlog in vlogs. So we're still in Vietnam in the vlogs, but I've basically completed almost a year of travel, and I'm trying to get caught up with all the vlogs. But yeah, I'm home. So we can either talk about loss and theft or readjusting coming back home. It's up to you. Go ahead and leave in the chat what you think you want to listen to, or we can just talk about whatever. You can even, that's an option, whatever. So, hi Vincol from London, and Travelbug says, love your hair. Well, thank you. Coming home, I needed to get a haircut that suited the culture of the Bay Area, which is very, how do I say this without sounding insulting to people who live in the Bay Area? Very fashion forward, I will say, and obsessed with their looks. Not really. No, that's not true. But I mean, kind of. Whatever. More obsessed with their looks than people from other countries I've been to. So, yeah, so guys, just leave in the comments below what you want to hear if it cuts out, because it's really important that I know about that. So let me know if you want to hear about loss and theft, or if you want to hear about readjusting after coming back abroad from a location. If you're just joining us on the live stream, go ahead and leave in the chat your name and where you're from, and we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and say hi. We'll also be answering your questions later on and raffling off a postcard. But before we get to all of that, it's a big day for me because, well, one, again, I'm back at home. Two, there's a meetup. I'm co-hosting a meetup with Miss Mari Johnson from her YouTube channel, Mari Johnson. She's another travel YouTuber. A lot of you might already be subscribed to her. And we're going to be hosting in San Francisco at Yerba Buena Gardens from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it looks like there's a chance of rain today. So if you are joining us, we're going to be having an alternate location at Jillian's. So if you want to come, well, come. Hi, Amanda from Edmonton, Canada. Thanks for joining us. So you are Travelbug. Cool. Okay, so let's just get started. I've only gotten one vote for loss and theft. So if you guys want to do a lost and theft redo from last week, we can do that. But there might be some people on this live stream who saw choppy parts of it. So I'm just gonna stall for a little bit longer until you guys get your mentions into the chat. Um, and then also today I'm trying to get out a video about Hui and the Imperial City. So it's really cool historic site. So I'm really excited about this video, but I'm trying to get that all edited by this afternoon so we can post it later on tonight, Pacific time. So if you're in Asia, that's tomorrow, Monday. Hey Novak from Malaysia, thanks for joining us. What time is it over there? So yeah, and also another thing I want to ask you guys, and if you're watching on the playback, please, I want your feedback especially because you're not on right now. Is this a good time to do a live stream on a Sunday? Now I have to juggle between audience people who are in Asia and audience people who are in the US and then audience people who are in all other time zones. And basically there's not going to be a right time to do a live stream, but I'm wondering if this isn't necessarily the best time because we don't I'm curious if like live streaming is something that people are interested in generally, but I'm curious because we don't necessarily always get a huge draw. And right now it's like 9 a.m. in the morning where I am. So if a lot of people are living on the West Coast of America and they're not watching something on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m., I totally get it. So if there's a better time, it might, but I'm thinking that it either has to be in the morning on Sunday or it has to be in the night on Sunday in America, which means that people in Asia would have to see the live stream Monday morning, like on their morning commute or when they first start work. I don't know. Oh yeah, so yeah, Novak from Malaysia says that it's 12:15 a.m. there. So just got back from work. Why are you working so late? Stumbled upon your live chat. Well, thank you for joining me, and you don't have to stay here too long. Mari Johnson just sent me a message saying the weather looks like it'll hold out, might be chilly, cool. We can go to Jillian's. Yeah, so yeah, we're going to, Jillian's will be a backup if you're coming to the meetup today in Yerba Buena Gardens. Jillian's in the Metreon, it's like, you can Google it, it's like right around the corner. Okay, so I've only gotten a vote for loss and theft, so but we're going to redo that content. And we will take questions a little bit later. So if you have questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat right now, and we will get to them in a little bit. And excuse me, I'm dealing with some allergies. So, man. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get into loss and theft. So recent story, I lose things while I travel, and if you travel for a long time, it's likely that you'll lose things as well. I've lost a lot of things in my year of travel. I've lost my ATM card 3 times at the ATM machine. That's redundant. At the ATM, because the M stands for machine, so you can't have automatic transaction machine. I've lost my vlogging camera. Well, depending on who you ask and what people respond to, well, I either lost it or I got it stolen. I've had many toiletries lost during my travels, like countless bottles of shampoo and hair gel and weird random stuff. I bought a new T-shirt in Bangkok, and then I promptly lost it like 2 weeks later. My running shoes were missing at some point, and most recently I lost my GoPro. So that might sound like a lot, and you might be like thinking like, what a dumbass. What an asshole. Why is he losing all his stuff? That stuff's expensive. The GoPro was expensive. My shoes were expensive-ish. And that's because when you're traveling, you don't have a place to put things, like a secure place to put things, right? You are constantly moving, or if you're not constantly moving, you're not in a place where you're gonna be able to keep your stuff. Like when you're at home, you have a place to put things. And when you lose them, you're probably just losing them in the home. They're probably still there. You just can't find it. But when you go out and you lose something, well, yeah, that happens, and you've misplaced something and it's out there. When you're traveling, that's the situation all the time. You're constantly on the run, you're constantly moving, and you're carrying everything that you have. There's no safe place to put everything, which means that things are going to get lost, and unfortunately, things get stolen as well. And sometimes you know that they were stolen, and sometimes you just might think they just got lost, but they might have been stolen. Particularly if you're staying in dorms. Dorms are really a good place for people to pick up things because people leave things all over the place and they don't lock things up, and you might lose something. If you have questions or comments particular to this topic, go ahead and leave them in the chat, and I will go in and out of the comments to respond to you. But I'm going to keep going. And welcome, Everton from Natal, Brazil. Thank you so much for joining us. And Paul Stevenson, this is a backpacking world. You will lose your socks. I'm a world traveler. I lose loads. Yes, we will all lose things. And so I want to talk a little bit today about like things that you can do to prepare for that inevitability, things you can bring that might help keep your stuff protected, and things you can do if something happens to you and your stuff. So number one, I think first you need to start off before you even start packing is have the mindset that things might get lost. And if things might get lost, is it really worth it to bring that thing? This will not only help you pack lighter, but it'll also make you question, is it really worth bringing this thing that might help me with my travels, or it might just be there because I want it there, but it's not necessarily useful and it's really valuable to me. Because you really shouldn't bring anything you're not prepared to lose. Now, as a travel vlogger, I need to bring my camera, I need to bring my laptop, and those are really important things to me. But I also have to be in the mindset that if they get lost, I need to get to a place at some point. I can feel hurt before, like right after things get lost, but I need to get to a place at some point where I'm okay with the loss and I can move on and I can replace things. So things you shouldn't bring, like your hand-me-downs from your grandmother that are really special to you. Things that are absolutely invaluable to you that have absolutely no function on the road. Maybe your teddy bear that you cherish from childhood and you fall asleep with it every night. If you bring it, that's cool because it might help you while you go to sleep at night. But if you don't want to lose it, I would honestly not bring it. Stuff like that, stuff that's super, super valuable to you. And also electronics. Do you need to bring your laptop? Can you just bring an iPad? Is your phone sufficient enough? That kind of stuff. Well, I'm seeing that the stream quality is gone down, so just let me know if you can still see, or if it's still choppy. Hopefully you can see that I said that. Okay, so mindset is really important while you're packing. And then when you're on the road, but with that mindset, don't like be willy-nilly with your stuff. Like, yeah, things might get lost, but you should do everything you can to protect your things anyway, because it sucks to lose things and it costs money. And that might be more money that you want to put into travel and not necessarily replacing everything. So let's talk a little bit about some tips that you can do to prevent loss. So again, tip number one, if you don't want something lost, don't bring it. Number two, keep track of your stuff. And the way that I keep track of my stuff, I mean, it's really hard because you have lots of stuff maybe. You have your clothes, you have your devices, you have wires, you have all these things that you need to keep track of. And if you're keeping track of like 50 items, chances are you're not going to like be able to wrap your brain around all of that. So one thing that I do is I use a list system. And it's a list of the most important things that you need to always have on you when you're in transit or when you're leaving a hotel or leaving a bus or whatever. I made this list after I lost my camera. Okay. Um, so so on my list, I have 6 things. I have my wallet. I have my phone. I have my camera, my vlogging camera. I have my laptop, my external hard drive, and what was it? Oh, my passport. Yeah, that's the most important thing, my passport. Those 6 things are super important to me. If I lose any of them, it throws everything off. And the things that are not included on the list are things I'm totally okay with them getting lost if they get lost. I'm not really okay, like I would love to keep all of my stuff, but these 6 things are the most important things that I keep with me at all times. So every time I'm checking out of a hotel, I always manually or like physically go through my stuff to make sure I have those 6 things like on me, checking them, feeling them, making sure they're there. And I think that's really helpful if you create your own list of things that you want to make sure you have at all times when you're moving around. That would be really great. You could do a list of 5, a list of 4, a list of 10. But don't go over 10 because that might be too overwhelming. And that's a lot of things to check physically when you have a backpack on and your day pack maybe. That's a lot of stuff to check. So that's tip number 2. Let me go to the chats really quickly to check in. Beach Boy says, Novak, I'm starting to plan a short trip to Chiang Mai. Okay, so we'll get to that in a little bit. Been watching lots of your vlogs on YouTube and searching online, but I'm not sure. Okay, so we'll get to that in a little bit, Novak, if you can stay up. Okay, tip number 3 for preventing loss and theft. Bring lockable luggage and have TSA locks. Oh, so let me grab a TSA lock so I can show you. I had this last week on me. Okay. So this is a TSA approved lock, and it's basically a combination lock, 3 combinations, and there's actually a little keyhole right here, and that's because you can leave your luggage locked when you go through security, but if security needs to open up your luggage, they can do it themselves. Now, I haven't heard of issues of people being able to break these locks, but I mean, it's more trouble than it's worth for people to try and get into your bag. Like unless your bag's like sitting somewhere and they have all the time in the world and no one's watching them, your stuff like this. The purpose of these is to prevent people from just like slowly opening your zipper like when you're from behind and like trying to like slip things out. These are great. And they work at hostels. You can use them on lockers. A lot of hostels, they do take like the bigger padlocks, but these can be used for any kind of locker. Yeah, and it's just another security measure. Of course, people can slash your bags. People can try and get at your bags in a whole bunch of different ways. And eventually, with a 3 combination lock, you could probably break these. I found one just laying around at a hostel for like a week, and no one was touching it. And there was like 100% turnover in my room, so it's like this doesn't belong to anybody anymore. So I took it and I broke the lock, the code, and yeah. So, but it's just another barrier between you and someone who wants to get at your stuff, and it's particularly useful if you don't have a locker. You just need to keep your bags locked and try and get your stuff as safe as possible. Number 3, don't flaunt your wealth while you're in public or while you're in your accommodation, particularly if you're in your dorm. I think most people know that's common sense, but some people forget that where they are, you know. And maybe when you're back at home, maybe it's a richer country where you can just have your iPhone out and have your DSLR camera sitting on your hip or whatever. And that's not That's fine in those contexts. But if you're in a crowded location with a lot of people who are struggling, they might see you and be like, one of those things are going to be mine, so I can sell it and feed my family. And you just have to you have to have a little bit of common sense about what you want to show, what you want to reveal, and how you dress, and that kind of stuff, because otherwise you become a target. Someone can follow you back to your hotel room. Someone could try and pickpocket you. Someone at your dorm can be like, ooh, he has lots of stuff. Let me go get some of that. So yeah, just use common sense with that. And number 5 is bring backups. So if you lose something and you have some way of replacing it before you have to buy something, we'll bring that back up. So for my ATM cards, I have backup cards with different banks. So I don't have a backup card for my own ATM card. I have another bank account that I can use that has some money in it, where I can withdraw money if I lose my ATM card. And usually you want to put these backups someplace else, not with the stuff that you usually carry. So if you have a backup ATM card, don't put it in your wallet, put it in your backpack or something, hide it somewhere else. And if you like bring backup SD cards, if you're afraid that your camera might get stolen or lost, make sure you photocopy your passport. That's really important. Not only can you use that photocopy as your form of ID when you're like out and about on town in some locations, but you can also, if your passport ever gets lost, you can kind of get by until you can get to an embassy. And yeah, and then I think the last tip is really important, is just be flexible. Again, with the mindset that something is going to happen with your stuff, something might get lost, you just need to be flexible. Whether that's, okay, I lost my camera, like me. I have to go get a new one. I went and I bought one, I think the next day. The very next day? Yeah, the very next day. And you have to kind of get over things really quickly and move on, because you don't want one thing to ruin your entire trip. And if you can replace it, that's great. And if you can't, then that really sucks. But you need to be able to continue on with the trip and not let these incidents ruin your life. As I've said earlier, I lost a whole bunch of things on my year abroad, and nothing stopped me. I lost shoes. I went and bought new shoes. I lost my ATM card. I used my backup ATM cards, unfortunately paying fees, but I was able to get the bank to mail me out new ones. My vlogging camera I lost, or it got stolen, and I bought a new one. Toiletries can always be replaced. Yeah, so do you guys have any tips about how to keep things safe while you travel? Go ahead and leave them in the chat and I'll shout them out, but I'm going to check the chat right now to see what other comments you're leaving. I'm not sure if I should stay in a hotel or hostel. I want to stay in a hostel, but I'm worried about safety and cleanliness and stuff. Okay, this is kind of related, and we might be segueing into our questions portion a little bit early, but I'm gonna tackle this. So Novak from Malaysia says, I'm planning a short trip to Chiang Mai at the end of the month. Any tips on what to do? Okay, well, we'll hold off on that. So you're not sure if you want to stay in a hostel. Well, let me make the argument for hostels, and then I'll just point out all the obvious pros for hotels. With hostels, hostels are great. I think hostels are amazing, and I think you shouldn't be too afraid of them. Number one, hostels allow you to meet lots of different people, and you don't need to stay in a dorm to have that hostel environment. Lots of hostels have private rooms. So if you want your privacy, you can stay in a private room, but you can still get the social atmosphere of a hostel. And being in a hostel is really super important if you're solo backpacking, because you want to be connected with other travelers. Yes, you can rely on the internet for all your information, but people who have been to places will know better than maybe TripAdvisor. you'll be able to meet up with people who might have similar sensibilities to you than the masses that contribute to websites like TripAdvisor, or Yelp, or things like that. So hostels are a really great resource, not only to meet people but for information. And in regards to safety, I don't think I think the only thing I might have had stolen from from hostels, besides toiletries, because I'm sure someone took my stuff. I leave my toiletries out all the time. It's not part of my list of 6, and I don't really care if toiletries get lost. I don't have anything really special that I'm carrying around with me. I think are my shoes. I think my shoes were the only things that got lost, that someone took from a hostel. But for the most part, there are other people who are traveling like you and who will respect your stuff, and it's the very few who like are complete assholes. And you know what? If someone took my shoes, they might have taken them by accident. Like because when I lost my shoes, people were getting up really early in the morning. It was completely dark, and then they were gone. So they might have grabbed them in haste and went off. And I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Who needs size 12 men's shoes? I have really big feet. But what I'm saying is that safety hasn't really been too big of an issue, especially if you use lockers. I have never had my locker broke into. I can't say that that's the same experience that everyone else has had, but lockers are always a safe bet. And if you really need to keep something locked up, usually the reception will be able to store things in their safe, so you could leave your passport with them. But be careful with that, because if you leave your passport with them and then there's some issue with the hostel, they might hold that against you. But yeah, trust your hostel. They're gonna keep your stuff safe in the safe. And then as far as cleanliness, for the most part, I've had good experiences with hostel cleanliness, but everyone has different thresholds of what is clean and dirty. I see a lot of reviews about oh, this hostel didn't provide me a towel. Oh, the showers were really dirty at peak time. And to that I say, yes, that's going to happen. Your hostel's not going to provide you with the cleanest 4-star accommodation. They're going to provide you with a college dorm situation, and things aren't going to be always that great. I'm seeing that the live stream is bad right now. Again, if you guys are having a hard time seeing this, let me know in the chat so I can address it as soon as possible. Vin Cola has a question about Airbnb. What about an argument for Airbnb? Oh, okay. So wait. So we'll get to Airbnb and then hotels. So Airbnb, I think is great, but it can also be really sketchy, depending, and especially if you're going to a country that doesn't have a similar culture than yours back at home. I think that might be a little bit because you don't want to end up in a situation where you're in some place that is really uncomfortable. So let me talk. I have one experience with Airbnb on my travels because I didn't really use it that much. When I twisted my ankle in Vietnam, I got an Airbnb with the family in Ho Chi Minh City. And luckily, I was able to vet the family enough to know that they were living in a luxury condo out in the kind of outskirts of Ho Chi Minh City. So I knew what I was getting into would be super comfortable, and it turned out to be great, and it was a great cultural experience. Now, but a lot of Airbnb in other countries might just be hotels advertising themselves on Airbnb. They might not be just people who have an extra space at their apartment or a free apartment for a time period and are renting it out. I did use Airbnb when I first got to Ho Chi Minh City, and it turned out to be a budget hotel, and particularly not a very clean one, which was fine. I was not complaining. I had just twisted my ankle. I was going to stay anywhere, but yeah. Airbnb, blah. Sometimes. But if you're staying in a country that's similar to your culture, I say go for it. And then hotels, of course, hotels are going to be nicer. They're going to be a lot more expensive. But the thing with hotels is if you're traveling by yourself, you're not going to get a social atmosphere whatsoever. Like there might be people like hanging out in the lobby, but pretty much people who stay at hotels keep to themselves. They're either families or couples or maybe solo travelers who don't want to speak to anybody. And if you are feeling lonely, do not stay at a hotel. Stay in some place a little bit more social, like a guest house or a hostel. But if you need comfort and you need privacy and you need clean stuff, stay at a hotel. But also note that not all hotels are very clean. Okay, I'm going to take a couple more questions, but then we have to kind of get going with the raffle, and then I have to go because we have a meetup. If you're just joining us, we have a meetup with Mari Johnson in about 3.5 hours. So again, if you are just joining us, I'm having a meetup with Mari Johnson, a fellow YouTuber and traveler, and we're going to be meeting in San Francisco at Yerba Buena Gardens from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. today. So if you're in the area, please join us. Larry from Cairns, Australia. Am I saying that right? It's 2 a.m. there. I'm so sorry. Again, people, leave in the comments of the playback and here if this is a good time to do a stream or not. I'm juggling between people who are on different hemispheres, so it might be hard. It's 9 a.m. here. This might not be a great time for everybody. Maybe I'll do it later. I don't know. So Larry asks, did you get travel insurance? I did get travel insurance. I got, I forget the name of the group. You're going to have to make me look up all this stuff. I don't know if I have time for this, question at this moment right now, but I'll try and maybe get to it later. But yeah, I do have travel insurance, and it covers me up to like some ridiculous amount. I think $500,000 US. So if anything happened to me, I could be airlifted from the jungle, or I could have cancer surgery or whatever, and I would pay probably not that much out of pocket at all. Now that I'm back in the US for a month, that travel insurance does not apply. And if anything happens to me, I will have to pay fully out of pocket because I'm not employed, and I don't have health insurance here. Raffle Glaz, Raffle, could you put like phonetically spell that out for me? I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Rafael asks, do old people in their 30s, haha, stay in hostels, or is it mostly youngsters? So first of all, how dare you? I am not that, I am that old. Yes, I stayed at hostels, and I am in my 30s. So if you are an old person too, you can stay at a hostel, and it'll be okay. Because let me tell you something. Particularly in the last hostel I stayed at, there are retirees that stay at hostels. There are people who just they don't really care about where they're living. They just want to be around people. And that's the whole point of the hostel. It's not to be, there are definitely youth hostels that are just for like people who just got out of high school or university and who are traveling and who want to get drunk and party, and it's just a party hostel and people are throwing up everywhere and it's disgusting. And for some people, that's fun. For people who are young and who don't care and who don't think about consequences, that's fun. No judgment there. No judgment. Yeah, there are a lot of youngsters who travel in hostels. But you can just don't let age be a barrier, especially when you're traveling. I think people are more open to like meet different people. So you can relate to them just as much as they can relate to you because you're traveling. Vinkle says, wish I was in the area. 2 great YouTubers. Thank you, Vinkle. Beach Boy, your name was Novak. Beach Boy, you're back in SF. I thought you were. So just to clarify, the vlogs are in Vietnam right now. Basically, I'm back at home. And there's a backlog in the vlogs, and I'm trying to catch up, especially while I'm here. But it's taking a little bit of time. So, Raffle says, ha 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 ha. Novak says, you're young, JP. Thank you, Raffle. Or thank you, Novak. I'm not going to thank you, Raffle. Don't worry about that. Nguyen Job says, what's your favorite place in Vietnam? Ooh. Okay, this is the last question. My favorite place in Vietnam is... Okay, for reasons of aesthetic beauty, of like looking at it, I love Tam Coc. It's like Halong Bay, but instead of water, it's grass, and there are less people. And it's so if you look up Tam Coc and look up Halong Bay, both of those places are very beautiful. But and I love water. I love, like, that's my favorite thing in the world. I grew up near water. That's my favorite thing. But Tam Coc is awesome, and it's less crowded and less touristy, and I love it. But in terms of like a place to like hang out or live, I would say. I liked hanging out in Dalat, and I didn't spend enough time in Hanoi to know if I liked it better than Ho Chi Minh City, but I liked Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, and not Hue, Hoi An was pretty cool too. I don't know, I just love all of Vietnam. And Novak says, are you coming back to Asia soon? Not this year. My plan is to head off to South America after my month at home. So who knows what happens in 2017? You'll have to stay tuned. Okay, so I got the rest of my day ahead of me, so we're going to have to close soon. But before that, we got a raffle. So if you'd like a raffle, go ahead and leave in the comments on the playback that you want one. No more guessing games. We're just going to do it this way. And if you're in the chat, go ahead and leave a comment there too, and I'll write your name down. And next week, you'll be included in the raffle. So this week's raffle winner is... What does this say? Alex Nicole's Journey. Yay! I like her. I just know her from comments, but she seems fun. And Alex Nicole, however you go by, whatever you go by, you want a postcard from me. So just go ahead, and if you are seeing this, go ahead and message me on YouTube or Facebook or Snapchat, all the social medias, to let me know your address. Private message me, please. Don't advertise it anywhere. And I'll also try and reach out to you just to make sure you know that you have a raffle, or you have a postcard. Oh man, it's already been a long morning. So if you want a raffle, if you want a postcard, go ahead and leave in the comments that you want one for next time, and I will put you in the fish. Okay, so if you want to keep following me on my adventures back at home, go ahead and find me on Snapchat. I'm not using Instagram Story yet, but I'm trying to figure out what's worth it. You can also... excuse me. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I post a lot more frequently on there with photos from my time out in the locations that the vlogs are going to be about for the week. So check those out. And yeah, I'm really liking my Instagram posts lately. I'm just congratulating myself right now. But I'm really liking them a lot. And it's really cool to kind of go back in time for me right now, even though you haven't seen it yet, to go and revisit these things that I got to experience a little while ago. So yeah, go check those out. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining in live. And again, if you have any feedback about when we should be doing these live streams, if they should be later in the day where I am on the Pacific coast of America, which means like for some of you tomorrow on Monday, or if we should be doing them at this time, or I don't know. Just give me feedback because I want to make sure that the most people get the most out of this. So anyway, like, subscribe, and follow, and I hope to see you at the meetup, and until next time, get off the couch and go do great things. Bye!